Hey everyone, Coach Pat here at Habit Strength and Conditioning, and this is your workout of the day. You like that? All right, what we're doing is we have 3 blocks. We're gonna be doing 8-minute AMRAPs. AMRAP stands for as many rounds as possible. So we're gonna have 3 movements in each one of these blocks, and you're just rotating through those 3 movements for 8 minutes, getting as many rounds as you possibly can. Okay? Between your blocks. So we'll have that first 8-minute AMRAP, then we'll take 1 minute rest. We'll have a second 8-minute AMRAP, 1 minute rest, then you have your third 8-minute AMRAP. All right, so our first block, we have an 8-minute AMRAP, as many rounds as possible, of 10 thrusters, 8 push-ups, 6 wall slides. So for this block, and the next block too actually, you're gonna need a couple pairs of weights, equal size, that you can hold in your hand. So it could be dumbbells, it could be kettlebells if you want, but you got canned food or water bottles filled with something, jugs of water, jugs of kitty litter, like whatever it might be, just something that you can hold in each hand that is equal in weight, okay? I'm gonna be showing with dumbbells. So, we have our 10 thrusters, 8 push-ups, 6 wall slides. So the thrusters, a squat to press. So I'm gonna bring these dumbbells up to the shoulders. So you bring your weights up to the shoulders. Feet will be shoulder width apart, toes slightly ducked out in our squat stance. From here, I'm gonna push my butt back and down, get my hip crease down below the knee, and then pressing through those heels, driving up, and then pressing at that top position. So my arms are in line with my ear, if not just a little bit behind. I'm tucking my hips underneath, squeezing my butt, keeping my joints all stacked. Then I just bring it back down to that shoulder position, fold that squat, make sure those knees are pressing out. Stand up and press. And I like to drive with my legs to get to that press, okay? So that is our thruster. Now, if you have a hard time getting to depth on squat, you'll get yourself a bench, just sit down to it. So I have those 2 weights here. On my bench, my trusty bench right there, but it could be a sofa, a chair, whatever it might be. You sit down to it, stand up, and press, okay? That's our regression there. If you have an issue with shoulders, just keep them on your shoulders and don't do the press, okay? You'll just do that squat part. Next is 8 push-ups. So push-up, just like a normal push-up, we're gonna be on the floor, hands directly underneath our shoulders, legs out long on our toes, tucking our hips underneath in that Pink Panther, squeezing our butt, keeping that core engaged. From here, I'm lowering myself to the ground, keeping my elbows tucked in, not flaring out. I'm keeping that plank form all the way down and back up. So my chest is about an inch off the floor there. When I get to the bottom position, and then I press back up through. What we're looking for is to maintain that plank. All the way down, back up, so we're not coming down and then leaving our hips and worming it back up and not moving our butt up in the air for that mountain butt. Okay, so keep that plank form when we're doing it. If you're having a hard time with this and can't keep that plank, 2 things you can do. 1, if you're getting a few at a time, that's totally okay, and just make it harder. You're gonna get through less rounds, and you will get more out of that. But if we're not able to do 1 push-up off our toes, it's okay. We're gonna build that strength. So you're gonna have your bench, your trusty old bench or sofa or chair, or it could be a countertop or even a wall. You're just gonna elevate yourself to a position that you're able to do it while maintaining that plank form. So hands on this bench for me, on my toes, squeezing my butt, everything else looks the same. Shoulders above my hands from here, more in that mid-torso to the edge, and then back up, okay? Higher elevation, more assistance it will give you, okay? Next, wall slides. So for this, if you do have pull-ups, you can do pull-ups too at home. This is mimicking a pull-up, but if you have a pull-up bar, you can do that also, or even pull-downs if you have a band. If you know what I'm talking about, you've probably done that before, so I would just do that. But a wall slide, hands up in the air, making a fist, squeezing my butt so my hips are tucked underneath, everything's nice and tight. From here, I'm gonna pull my elbows down towards the side, like if I was actually doing a pull-up, until I get to the very bottom position. I'm gonna squeeze at the bottom, so I'm squeezing those lats and that upper back, and then back up. So this is slow and controlled. All the way down, squeeze, and then right back up, okay? Those are the first 3 movements. So we have an 8-minute AMRAP there. AMRAP stands for as many rounds as possible. I'm gonna say that a lot. So you'll do 10 thrusters, 8 push-ups, 6 wall sides. Then go back to the top, 10 thrusters, 8 push-ups, 6 wall sides. And get as many rounds as you can. Write it down in your workout journal. Keep a workout journal. Write it down in there. And that way you know how far you got, or how many rounds you got, okay? And what weights you use. All right, so then we'll take a minute rest after that 8 minutes. Then we're gonna go into another 8-minute AMRAP, as many rounds as possible. Of these 3 movements, they're going to be 10 ground to overhead, 8 per side renegade row, 8 per side single leg glute bridge. Okay? So, the ground to overhead, I'm going to use the same weights as I used before, and I'm going to use these for this and that renegade row. But you can either go feet to this in or out wide, so I'll show both ways. But it's exactly how it sounds. You're touching those dumbbells or those weights to the ground, and then bringing it to an overhead position. Back down and up. If you're going wide, stand so go in between your legs. But from that side, down, keeping that back nice and flat. We're not keeping our hips up and then pulling through that lower back, because after so many rounds, you're gonna end up tweaking your back, and that does not feel good. So use those legs to drive that motion, and then bring it up overhead to that locked out position where your arms are in line with your ear. All right, after that we go into 8 per side renegade row. Renegade row, we're gonna be back in a push-up position. So this will be on the floor. Now with this one, you'll want to go to your knee if you can't do it off your toe. But have the dumbbells in a little bit closer. I like to have my legs a little wider, keep my butt squeezed. And what I'm doing here is I'm taking one of those dumbbells and pulling up to that mid-torso and back down. And I'm not rotating while I'm doing this. I'm keeping my hips parallel to the floor, so keep that butt squeezed. Bring it up and then back down. And you can alternate sides, or you can go 8 one side and then 8 the other. Like I was saying, if you can't do it off your toes, or you notice yourself squirming or pulling or twisting, go to your knees. So still hips down in that plank. It just shortens that lever. And you'll go back and forth, but I'm not twisting it. So you're renegade row. After that, you'll stay on the ground. I got up, dang it. Go on the ground. We'll do a single leg glute bridge. So for this, laying on our back. Here we go. Heels pulled in, so I like to be able to, my fingertips can touch the back of my heel. For a single leg, I bring one leg up at that 90-degree angle, and then from here, I'm pushing through the heel of that foot that's on the ground, arms out at 45, up to that glute bridge. Okay, so up at the top, my knee, hip, shoulder in line in the diagonal towards the ground, and then back down. Squeeze your butt at the top, and then back down. If you need to, you can move to help, but you have 6 one side, and then you'll go 6 on the other side. Okay? Get that hip up as high as you can there, and squeeze that butt. It should feel like you're getting a little cramp in the back, in your hamstring of that leg that's pushing on the ground. Okay? Once you finish that, you go back to the top, do your 10 ground overhead again, 8 renegade row, 6. Just go through that for 8 minutes for that AMRAP. Then we'll take 1 minute rest, and we'll move to the final block, which is another 8-minute AMRAP. We have 10 per side elevated split squat, 8 tuck knee sit-ups, 6 per side floor wipers. So no weight is needed here. But I will keep a dumbbell out, just so I can show you something. So, that elevated split squat, you want to find something to put your foot up on. The higher the elevation, up to a point, you're not going to want to go anything higher than knee, okay? Nothing higher than knee there. So even if I have my dumbbell right here, I can elevate by putting my toe up on that dumbbell, bring my foot out, okay, and from here, I'm just dropping that back knee to the ground, and then coming back up, okay? So I need to go a little farther out. So staying up over it, back knee to the ground, and then come back up for 10 reps. 10 reps here. So 10 one side, then 10 the other. If you have a higher elevation, you can, like this bench here, put my foot up. It's the same thing, it's just a higher elevation, makes it a little more challenging. Bring it down and back up. Okay? So I have 10 on one side, 10 on the other for that elevated split squat. Do that, we're gonna move to the ground. We have tuck knee sit-ups, You've done a lot of these, so hopefully you remember them. If not, if you're new, you will definitely know them soon enough. So we're gonna be laying on our back, hands up overhead, legs that long. For a tuck knee sit up, I'm gonna bring my torso all the way up off the floor. Knees into the chest, actually grabbing my knees, pulling them in. My feet are on the ground, back is straight, and then lay back down. Sit up, pull in the chest, and back down. All right? That's your tuck knee sit up. If you can't do it all in one motion, you would just sit all the way up, bring your knees in, and then lay back down. And final regressions, if you need to come up to one elbow, and then bring yourself up, knees in, and then back down. Okay, just with that last version, you want to switch sides, you kind of roll to. All right, and our final movement, floor sweepers. So for this is a fun one. You'll have your arms out at a, I'm going to show kind of at an angle. Arms out at a T. From here, I'm going to bring my legs up to one side, and then come down and around, sweeping that floor there, all the way up to the other side. So you're making a big U here with your legs. We're going back and forth for 6 per side. So 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, and then all the way to 6. But that one I had, that's the more challenging way, having your hands to the side. If you need to, you can grab something heavy like a weight, hold it above your head and hang on to it, and that'll give you some leverage, so that way when you're bringing those legs around, making that big U, and remember, we're making a U with your legs, not an A. I see it a lot where we kind of come up and over, but we're making a U, okay? And that's our floor sweeper. So once you finish your floor sweepers, you go back to the top, you do your elevated split squat, and tuck knee sit-ups, floor sweepers, and for 8 minutes doing it there. That's it, that's the workout. So let's do a recap. We have 3 8-minute AMRAPs. AMRAP stands for as many rounds as possible. Our first block of AMRAP, the 3 movements are 10 thrusters, 8 push-ups, 6 wall slide. After 8 minutes there, we'll take a minute rest. Then we'll move to the second 8-minute AMRAP, where you have 10 ground overhead, 8 per side renegade row, 6 per side single leg glute bridge. 8 minutes there is up. We'll take another minute rest. Then we'll move to the final block, which is that 8-minute AMRAP, as many rounds as possible. 10 per side elevated split squat, 8 tuck knee sit-ups, 6 per side floor sweepers. If you have questions, let us know. Keep track of how many rounds you got, so when you see this again, we can see that progress. And enjoy! We'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.